Okay, we are in the Parshios of Avraham Avinu, all the way from the end of Noach until the end of Chayei Sarah is the life of Avraham Avinu. This is the foundation, all the Yesodis, the Koiches of Klal Yisrael. Avraham Avinu, everything is from Avraham Avinu, all the promises. Avraham Avinu got the promises. Going to have Eretz Yisrael. He's going to be the speaker for Hashem throughout all the generations. And Avraham didn't have a son. He couldn't. He was infertile. He couldn't have a son. And Kadosh Baruch Hu promised him in Lech Lecha. He promised him.
But he had a son. He had a son from Hagar.
Oh.
So he already.
But not from Sarah. We'll see who.
So he was an Akkor.
We'll see
she
who.
Was an Akkor. Both.
That's the question.
The more ness on him.
How did he have a son from
Hagar?
Hagar, if he was infertile. If he was infertile. Anyway, I'm not getting involved in that. But that was after the bracha. He got a bracha from a Kadosh Baruch Hu by the bris bein besorim. By the bris bein besorim. He said, "Hen lo nesata li, hen li lo nesata zera, v'hine ben beisi Yerush." That Eliezer, the Eved Avram, is going to be Yerushim. Devar Hashem said, "Lo Yeroshcha zeh ki yem asher yetz mimeyecha hu Yeroshecha." So he already got a bracha from HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he's going to have a son. So this was the beginning. V'hem and ba'Hashem v'yachshavel lo tzedakah. That's another shmuz. Now the problem is that after the bris bein besorim, also in Lech Lecha, back to Lech Lecha. Sarai, she was still. This is before their names were changed. He was still Avram and she was still Sarai. Sarai Eshes Avram lo yolda, v'lo shivcha mitzvah. So she had this Egyptian slave girl. She happened to be a princess. Hagar was a very interesting person. She was very
Paro.
She was Paro's daughter, and she wanted to be attached to this majestic family. She was very spiritual, very religious person. So Paro gave her as a shivcha to just be part of the family. And we'll see later on, she had nevuah. She was able to see malachim. That's something that very few people in the history of Klal Yisrael have ever seen. She was able to see malachim, so that means that she was very way up there in a ruchnius level. But she was Sarah's shivcha, Shmo Hagar, and Sarai says to Abram, "I can't have any children. Come be with my shivcha. Maybe I'll be able to be bona mimeno." That's a whole big question. How does that work? It's a certain schus that if you take on a tzara competition in the house, so that gives a schus to the wife. We see that throughout all the imaos. Sarah did it, and Rachel and Leah did it. Yep. In order to increase the schus of having children, so they allowed their husbands to take a shivcha. Yishmael Avram l'kol Sarai v'tikach Sarai eshes Avram es Hagar mitzvahs shivchasu miketz. It was after 10 years of not having a children. Beretz Canaan. And Avram gave her. V'tita and oisa la'Avram isha, her husband, loy le'isha. So now she was his wife. V'yovo el Hagar, and he came together with Hagar, and she got pregnant first night. It was amazing. She got pregnant the first night, and she saw that she was pregnant, and she saw that the first night, and she saw that her mistress Sarai, after so many years being with Avram, and she still was barren. But Tekel Gavirta Be'eineho. She started, the Targum Yonason says, she started being mezalzel in Sarai, in her mistress. She started being mezalzel in her. Sarai was very, very upset with this. V'tomer Sarai al Avram, Chamosi Alecha. This is chomis. This is it's torture for me. I gave you the shivcha b'cheikecha, and now I see that she sees that she's pregnant, and now she's mezalzel in me. Yishbar Hashem beini ubeinecha, vayomer Avram el Sarai, hine shivchosech. Here's your shivcha b'yodeich. Do whatever's good, what you feel is right in her eyes. And Sarai started. V'taneha Sarai v'tivrach mipaneha. She gave her tremendous amount of work. She made her really feel like a shivcha, and then she ran away. She ran away. We'll get to what happened when she ran away in a second. But what was this discussion between Sarai and Avram? What was the discussion between Sarai and Avram? And why did Hagar start getting uppity, being mezalzel in her mistress Sarai? So there's a very, very interesting Orach Chaim HaKadosh. There's an Orach Chaim HaKadosh, and he says this was a halachic machloikis between Sarai and Avram. What's the din if a Jewish man has children from a non-Jewish woman? The children are not Jewish. What's the din if a Jewish man has children from a shivcha? Well, the children are still avodim. The children are avodim. She's a shivcha. She's an eved, a woman eved. It's called a shivcha. And so if he takes her as a wife, you're not allowed to take her as a wife. We're not allowed to marry shivchas. There's a whole big problem over here. What was Avram thinking?
What do you mean?
So the Orach Chaim, one of his terutzim is it is before Matan Torah. Before Matan Torah, so the Rav Chaim Volozhin explains in Ruach Chaim. So he says before Matan Torah. Now all the mitzvahs by us are obligatory. We're chayiv in all the mitzvahs. You can't say, well, I want to do it today, I don't want to do it tomorrow. It's everything's obligatory. It's more mechuyev. Before Matan Torah, it was a reshus. It was mitzvahs kiyumis. We have mitzvahs chiyuvis. All of our mitzvahs are mitzvahs chiyuvis. It's a chiyuv. There are mitzvahs which are mitzvahs kiyumis. If you want, you can do it. If you don't want, you don't have to do it. Like a woman with mitzvahs aseshes zman grama. Mitzvahs aseshes zman grama by a woman, she's pater from. But if she wants to do it, she can do it. She can shake a lulav. She can listen to the shofar. She doesn't have to. But if she does it, she gets schar. So before Matan Torah, all the mitzvahs by the avos were mitzvahs kiyumis. They didn't have an obligation. That's the answer they give. How Yaakov married two sisters, because all the avos, we know that they kept the Kol Torah Kula. So how did he marry two sisters? Because he saw that this was something that he had to do, and he wanted to get a certain result. And in order to do that result, he had to violate the issur of taking two sisters. So he did it and came out. He married Rachel and Leah, so sometimes a person we're allowed to. So before Matan Torah, they were allowed to violate the Torah in order to have a certain purpose. We'll see what the purpose was in a second. Now, the question is, when a master, the Adon, the person who owns the Shivcha, he takes the Shivcha as a wife, now what? Now what? So there's a machlokes in Shas. The Orach Chaim was a big Talmud Chacham. Brings from Bereshis Rabbah and Gemara Ksubis, and I saw somewhere else as a Gemara in Yavamis. If the master marries his Shivcha, there's a machlokes, does he set her free? Does he set her free? So, Abraham, this Hagar was a Shivcha. Who owned Hagar? Well, it says that Hagar Hamisa Shivcha saw. This Shivcha belonged to Hagar. It was Hagar's Shivcha.
Sarah.
Sarah. Yeah. I'm sorry. This Shivcha, Hagar, belonged to Sarai. Right? It was her Shivcha. Sarai was married to Avram. So this is called Nichsei Malug. Nichsei Malug, the Nechosim, the property that a woman owns. So when she gets married, the produce, the fruit, what we call the peiros, the produce, the results, what it produces, belongs to the husband. The husband gets right on whatever it produces. Now, she handed over. So he had a kinyan. He had a kinyan in Hagar for the peiros, and she had a kinyan in Hagar in the kinyan aguf. Now she handed over Hagar to Avram. Avram thought that by doing that, by handing over her shivcha to her husband to be a wife. Vatita and Isola Avram, Isha, her husband, Loi Isha, going to be a wife. Therefore, Avram thought that she had freed Hagar.
Released her.
She had freed Hagar, released her, and now she was the wife. And this is what the impression that Hagar had. So Hagar, besides getting uppity that I got pregnant and you didn't. Right? Besides that, she thought now that she was equal to Sarai, she was no longer a Shivcha. So she started being mezalzel in Sarai. I'm equal to you.
Better than you.
And I'm even better than you because, you see, I got pregnant from a tzaddik. I'm going to have, right?
Wouldn't that be clear in the Ksuba?
Right, wasn't there, right, why is this?
Has nothing to do with the ksuba. Nothing to do with ksuba.
It says,
At the time, at the Maisa, when she handed over the shivcha to her husband, the ksuba was years ago.
No,
There's a ksuba? Why there is a ksuba at all?
No. Whether there was a ksuba, they kept calling it a kula. Ksuba gives the general rules. Nichsei malug, that the husband gets the peiros. Now, what's the din of this shivcha? That's what the Orach Chaim deals with. He brings a whole machlokes over here. He's got the Rif and the Ramban. There's a Rif and a Ramban. What is the deal with this shivcha? So Avram thought, and Hagar thought, that she had been released. All of a sudden, Sarah comes to Avram, Chamasi alecha, I gave you my shivcha. I never released her. It's all up to me. Oh, it's a different story. And the Orach Chaim brings a raya from the pasuk. She gave now because the pasuk is problematic. She gave the Hagar to Avram, her husband, Loila Isha, to be a wife. So it sounds like she released her. So the Orach Chaim says, no, read the pasuk again. Vatita Nasola Avram Isha, her husband, Loila Isha. It's only for him. She limited it. In other words, if you free her, So now once she's free, if she would get divorced from Avram, she could marry anybody she wants. No. Her ability to be with Avram was only loy leisha. He can treat her like a wife, nobody else can. She's not released. She's still a shivcha. She's still a shivcha. Oh, if she's still a shivcha, so Avram said, V'yomer Avram, oh, hinei shivchosech. So if this is the case, it's very good in the psukim. Hinei shivchosech biyodech asi lo atoy b'einayach. Do what you want. And now Sarah put her in a place. Sarah put her in a place. And then she started tormenting her. So Hagar now ran away. Hagar ran away, and she went to the, right, and a malach found her on the Ein Amayim, on a well, a spring in the midbar. V'yomer Hagar, and he said, Hagar shivcha sorai. Again, now the pasuk is accenting, she's shivcha sorai. And the malach said to her, shivcha sorai.
Is that what he referred to her?
Vayomar. No, the pasuk says not. The pasuk says Vayomar Hagar. No. Vayomar. The malach said. Vayomar. The malach said Hagar shivcha sorai. Amy zebos v'anate lecha. Where are you going?
Meaning he said it to her.
He said to her, "You're shivcha sorai." So again, he's like rubbing it in. He's get it. Knock it into your thick skull. You weren't released. You're not equal to Sarai. Where are you going? I'm running away from Sarai, Gavirti. So she accepts it. She accepts that Sarai is her mistress. Right? I'm running away. So the Malach says, Shuvi el Gavirte, go back to your mistress and to accept the torment. Right? But since you are now living with Avram, and you are going to have children from Avram, as we see later on in the psukim. Harba arba ezarech v'lo yisaf meirov. She got a bracha from the malach, and the malach says, Hinach yara, you are now going to get pregnant. So the Rashi asks a question, what do you mean you're now going to get pregnant? She was pregnant. She was pregnant before. So Rashi says that Sarah gave her an ayin hara, and she lost the baby. So the first baby she lost because of Sarah gave her an ayin hara. The malach said, no, you're going to get pregnant, and you're going to give Biladet Bain, and you're going to call his name Yishmael. Now, because of all this, now the malach said he gave her a prophecy. First of all, Hagar is speaking to a malach. And so she had a nevuah, so she's a very, very elevated person. However, we'll see. Kishoma Hashem es onyech. V'hu yihye pera odom yodo bakol v'yad kol boy. This is our problem today. All our problems today with the Bnei Yishmael, our dear cousins, right? Because Yitzchak and Yishmael, they were brothers, and we were from Yitzchak, and they're from Yishmael, so therefore we're cousins. So our dear, all our problems are from this. All our problems are from this. And he's going to be a para Adam.
So Hagar. Why was Hagar allowed to have another child with Avram, though?
So the Orach Chaim asked the question. Again, according to strict halacha, if Sarai had freed Hagar, so now she's a free woman, and her husband's allowed to live with a second wife. But she didn't. Now, a husband in halacha, you're not allowed to live with a shivcha. So what's the heter?
Right.
What's the heter? So again, I said the first teretz is that because it's before Matan Torah, in extenuating circumstances, the Ovis had the ability. In this case, I'm not going to follow the Torah. I don't have to. It's mitzvah kiyumis and not mitzvah chiyuvis.
But why was Avram never? The Malachim didn't tell Avram that was going to happen.
So the Orach Chaim, you're forcing me to jump right now.
Okay, sorry.
Very good. No, good. You're forcing me to jump. So the Orach Chaim asks this question, and he answers. Oh, the page has just jumped. Yes. They had a nevuah. Sarah had a nevuah. Obviously, she wanted Abraham. She knew that Abraham had a prophecy, a promise, havtocha from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's going to have children, and she wanted to have children from Abraham, but from Avraham, not from Avram. He wasn't yet. She didn't know he was going to change his name. He was still Avram, and there was a problem with Avram. What was the problem with Avram? Maybe Avram also knew this. No.
That was the result.
His father was Terach. Terach gave birth. He impregnated his wife. I forget her name. She had
It's the same name as Haman's mother.
Al-Milay.
It's a difficult name to pronounce. So anyway, so he was together with his wife when she was a nida. So Avram was a ben nida, and he came from Terach, who had a lot of zuama. He was infected with avodah zorah. He was a manufacturer of avodah zorah, and so he had a lot of contamination, spiritual contamination within him. Besides the fact that Avram was also a ben nida. So there was a problem with the ruchnius, the purity of Avram. So they wanted to get rid of it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to get rid of it. How did HaKadosh Baruch Hu get rid of the zuama? It's called zuama, the contamination of that was inside of Avram. He had Avram give birth to Yishmael. All the contamination came out. All the contamination came out. That's what the Orach Chaim HaKadosh says. The Emsoyas Hayosa, and the fact that she was a shivcha still, dafka because she was a shivcha and she wasn't a freed lady. So therefore, all the chelik hamaus, all this contamination, all the contamination that was within Avram, right? It went out into Yishmael, and now he became pure. Now he was able to give birth to Yitzchak. Now he says, if Hagar had yet been freed, so only a partial amount of that contamination of that miyus would go out, and it would remain in Yitzchak, and we would not be pure. We would not have the purity that Yitzchak had. Therefore, he had to live with her specifically when she was a shivcha, in order for that zuma to come out. But there was a problem. What was the problem?
That's Orach Chaim?
That's the Orach Chaim HaKadosh.
Wow. It's a mess.
Only an Orach Chaim can say that.
It's not a medrash?
No. It's Orach Chaim HaKadosh. He doesn't quote a medrash. It's his own chiddush. His own chiddush. Now there's a problem. We know that the Avos were held to a standard of perfection because they were the foundation of the nation of Klal Yisrael. And a foundation has to be perfect. If there's any crack in a foundation, so the whole building is shaky. So the Avos had to be 100% solid. Abraham, we know, had issues. He asked Bama Eda when he was told that Klal Yisrael is going to inherit, his children are going to inherit Eretz Yisrael. He says Bama Eda. He had a little bit of a doubt. He asked the Kadosh Baruch Hu, how am I going to know that? You don't believe me? Because of that was a pagam in his amuna, and therefore the Chazal tell us we had to go into Mitzrayim for 400 years to clear up that Pagam. How it clears up the Pagam, I can't go into, but that's what Chazal say. Avraham had, nobody is perfect. Even Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't perfect. Moshe Rabbeinu also, that's, Agavorcha, the Avigdor Miller says, that's the difference between Yiddishkeit and Christianity. The Torah specifies and is explicit in revealing the Pagam, any deficiencies in the Avos, in our predecessors, in our forefathers. Avraham had deficiencies. Moshe Rabbeinu had deficiencies. You look in the New Testament, everybody's sparkling pure. Nobody ever did anything wrong. Once you see somebody who never did anything wrong, you know that there's something wrong, right? They're covering up something. The Torah doesn't cover anything up. And the fact that the Torah doesn't cover anything up, and this is all these minute issues are the only ones that they bring out, that shows you how great our forefathers were. That's a very important yesod that we have. Sarai also had an imperfection. What was her imperfection? A certain Beinam Lechavero, Rachmanis. Yes, your Shivcha got uppity. Your Shivcha was now acting like, rebelling against her mistress, right? But you have to give her an ayin hora that she should mapil the baby, that the baby should die, and you have to taneho, you have to torment her so much. Show her who's the boss, but not to torment her. Along comes the Ramban. If it wasn't the Ramban, I couldn't say it. If it wasn't the Ramban, I couldn't say it. Ramban says, "V'tana Sora v'tivach mipaneha chator imenu bi'ino yazeh." Sora, our mother Sora, did a chet. And also Avram ba'nicho la'sois came. And Avram also, he let her do it. Shoma Hashem eson yeha. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu heard. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was always mavakesh es anirdof. HaKadosh Baruch Hu always goes for the underdog. That's a rule. Hashem mavakesh anirdof. V'nosan lo ben. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave her a ben. Oh, what kind of a ben? He's going to be a para adam. The fact that Hagar had a Yishmael who's going to be a para adam, la noizera Avraham v'Sara b'chol minei inoi. It's going to be terrible. That was all because of Sarah. What is it? What is this para adam? So I mentioned this once before, and I'll say it again. Hu yeh para adam. It doesn't say adam para. In Hebrew, the noun comes before the adjective. An adam who's a para should be adam para. A man who's rich, adam ashir. Right? Not ashir adam. Ashir adam is, the noun comes first. Adam who's an ashir. And adam who's an ani. The noun comes first. Adam gavoa, he's a tall man. Adam namuch, he's a short man. What's this para adam? The para, the adjective comes first. Says the Brisker, the Rav Shuleb Diskin. Rabbi Shuleb Diskin Zatzal says it's a raya that the word para is the noun, and the adam is subsidiary to the para. This creature Yishmael is going to be a para. He's going to be a wild man, and that's the noun. Wild happens to be a man. He happens to be a man. He's in a wild donkey in the form of a man.
So you two.
Yeah. So they bring a maisa. There's a maisa from a Shmai Eliezer Duchovsky. So this Rav Duchovsky, he went to the Chafetz Chaim and he wanted to ask a bracha or an eitzah. Should he go to Eretz Yisrael? He was in Europe, and it was around 1930, in the beginning of the 30s. Chafetz Chaim was already very elderly. He died in 1933, so it must be towards the end of the Chafetz Chaim's life. and he asked him if he could go to Eretz Yisrael. So he said, before I could even get out my suffix, I just said I want to go to Eretz Yisrael, and I had chashoshes whether or not what was going on over there. It was right after the Hebron massacre, the pogrom in Hebron. You're not allowed to use the word pogrom anymore. They use the word pogrom in where is it, Amsterdam, and the mayor of the city. How dare you use the word pogrom? It wasn't a pogrom. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to belittle and defame the Arabs. They don't do pogroms. So after the pogrom in Hebron, in 1929 was the pogrom in Hebron. They massacred men, women, and children. The people in Hebron, right before they smelled something happening, and they knew that the Arabs were talking about, they didn't like the Zionists, so they went to the chief of the Arab community in Hebron, and they told him, look, we're not Zionists, we're religious Jews, we have nothing to do with them, we're not part of this, the Zionist movement is non-religious, they're secular, we are good people, we accept you, we're good friends, right? And it says that the Arabs even were babysitters, they babysat for each other, the Arabs and the Jews, they lived right next to each other. And then when the time came and whoever gave the command, okay, that's it, like, on October 7th, somebody gave the command, that's it. They all took out the butcher knives and they massacred the Hebron community, men, women, and children. That's an Arab. That's a para Adam. So this Rav Duchovsky, he had the suffix, he should go, what's going on in Eretz Yisrael. So should he go to Eretz Yisrael? And before he can get anything out of his mouth, so the Chafetz Chaim said, the Torah HaKadosha, we have to know the Torah HaKadosha is eternal. The Torah is eternal. If it says something in the Torah, it's eternal. It's telling you the root of it. It's looking down into the root of the whole world, the whole fabric of the world, and it's explaining to you how the world works. And the Torah said about Yishmael, he's a para Adam. He's a para Adam. And if it says on Yishmael, he yihi para Adam, it doesn't say v'hu para Adam. It says hu yihi, he will be a para Adam. That means he will always be a para Adam, no matter throughout generations. We are now 3,000 years after Yishmael was given that title para Adam. He is still a para Adam. He will remain a para Adam. If all of the Arabs if all the people of the world would bring all the Arabs and try to civilize them, bring them into universities. That's what they do today. They get doctorates. They become doctors and lawyers they're all over the world now, and they're trying to be civilized. If all the world will try to civilize these people, the Bnei Yishmael, he's going to remain a para Adam. B'shum oifen, you cannot get rid of it. If he becomes a doctor, he's going to become a doctor para Adam. And that's what they're finding out. The Dr. Para, right? They're teachers. They're wonderful teachers. He's teaching kindergarten, and they were in the October 7th massacre. School principals were in the October 7th massacre. They're terrorists, right? Doctors are terrorists. They're trying to heal the people. They have an obligation to heal people. When it comes to Jews, they're terrorists. Lo asad, lo netzach.
What does that mean? You can't
get it out of them.
You can't have an Arab doctor treating you? If so, what does that mean?
Listen, I'm going to get run out of the country. I can have a libel suit against me if I say anything. Right? It's a chashash that, you have to have somebody watching over there.
Very good doctors. top doctors Arabs.
Now,
And they
now,
really
now,
top
now,
doctors.
now, the way I will try to answer it.
They don't have good Yiddish.
I will try to answer it. Not all Arabs are Bnei Yishmael.
Isn't there also a Gemara?
They have conquered. There's a kapitel in Tehillim. There are 10 nations that the Arabs conquered. Muhammad, they conquered the whole Middle East, all the way to Mongolia and the North Africa, and they conquered a lot of. So we don't know the roots of all the Arabs, whether they are really Bnei Yishmael. We know that Gaza is full of Bnei Yishmael because we see how they act. They're animals. So when you see the Arabs acting like animals, we have to be suspicious of all the Arabs. I'm suspicious of any Arab. Now you'll ask me, but you see good doctors with maybe in their genes they are not Bnei
Isn't there
Yishmael.
also a Gemara that says that the Goyim have ne'manas in their miksoah, like by kashrus, that the Goy
They don't lose their job.
cook, right?
They
So,
don't.
so maybe a doctor has ne'manas. So he knows
As long as he won't get, as long as it's people are watching over him, and he won't get caught.
Yeah.
But once they're on their territory,
Well, that's
I
what
can't.
they tell
I can't answer that question. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
I need to ask.
So the Chafetz Chaim says that this Peroyos, will never leave them. The Chafetz Chaim says, "Oi, listen to this. Mi yodeya what this Pera Adam is able to do. Am Yisrael be Achras Hayomim. We don't know what they're going to do. The Achras Hayomim. What is the name Yishmael? What is the name Yishmael? They're called Yishmael. The name is Yishmael. Later on, right? You're going to call him Yishmael. What is the name Yishmael? So there's a very famous sefer written by Chaim Vital. Eitz das V'tov. Eitz das V'tov. So in that sefer, he talks about Yishmael, and he brings down, and this is a medrash also, that Yishmael, there are two people that were named with the same kale in them. Two nations. All the nations, they're just called nations. Two nations have the name kale in them. Yisrael and Yishmael. We were named by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We got a name from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yisrael was called, we were told to be Yisrael from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yishmael was given his name from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu put his name in Kadosh Baruch Hu put his name in Yishmael. So the Maral says there's a difference. The Maral says there's a difference. By Yisrael, where's the Nikud? The Nikud, the Tseiri, there's El, has a Nikud, Tseiri. Where's the Tseiri, the Nikud, the A? It's underneath the Aleph. Yisrael. So therefore so we are Yisra, we are Yisar is Srora. We have Srora, we have governance. We are the primary governing body of Ruchnius, of Kale. Kale is Ruchnius. So we have control over all the Ruchnius in the universe because our name is Yisrael. That's who we are. Yishmael, where is the Seiri? Under the ayin. It's not under the aleph. It's different. He will cause Klal Yisrael to cry out, and Yishma Kale. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to listen. It's not a name that he is Kale. He's going to cause others, Klal Yisrael, to scream out in torture because they're being tortured, and to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Yishma Kale. And it's a promise that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is eventually going to listen to us. So that's the difference. A little bit later in the parsha, in Lech Lecha, it's all in Lech Lecha. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells This is right before the bris. He's telling him to do a bris. So this is 13 years later. 13 years later, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Avram Avinu, Ubarachti oisa, right? Sarah ishtacha lo tikra shma Sarah. Your name is not Avram, your name is Avraham. And Sarah, her name is not going to be Sarai, it's Sarah now. Ubeirachti oisa v'gam nosati mimeno l'cha ben. I'm going to give you a child from Sarah, a pure child. Not from Hagar, but from Sarah. And I give him a bracha, and he's going to be l'goyim l'malchei amim mimeno yiyu. Avraham fell, Avram fell on his face, and he laughed, Vayitzchak, and he said in his heart, Leven me'ashani yivale, a 100-year-old man is going to give birth. Sarah, she's 90 years old, she's going to give birth. Vayomer Avram.
It's only 5 years.
Avram said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Elo Elokim, Lu Yishmael Yichiyeh lefanecha. Halavai, that Yishmael should live in front of you, live in the schus. Lu, right? Yichiyeh lefanecha, Yichiyeh b'yirasecha. Halavai, that my son will be Yishmael. He loved Yishmael, in spite of everything. In spite of the para Adam, he loved Yishmael. He had hopes for Yishmael. And he davened that Lu Yishmael Yichiyeh lefanecha. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, Aval, right? Sarah, your wife is going to give birth to a ben, right? And you're going to call him Yitzchak. Uli Yishmael Shematich, but I also listen to you. You asked me for a bracha for Yishmael. I'm giving, besides giving you Yitzchak, I'm going to give a bracha to Yishmael. Uli Yishmael Shematicha v'hinei barachti Yosef v'yafreisi Yosef herbeis Yosef v'moed moed. He's going to take over the world. He's going to be look at their giant nation. They're a giant nation. They now have taken over the world. Says the Aram HaChaim HaKadosh. This is a Zohar. When Avram Avinu said, Lu Yishmael Yichiyeh lefanecha, he didn't accept at face value the bracha, that the nevuah, that the promise that HaKadosh Baruch Hu just gave him that he's going to have a ben from Sarah. He says, it's enough that I have Yishmael, and if Yishmael lives to be a tzaddik, that's enough for me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was upset. I'm going to read for you a Zohar. I'm running out of time. I'm going to finish with the Zohar HaKadosh. I'm going to read the Hebrew. I have a Hebrew translation of it's in Aramaic. Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Chia were going down the derech, and Rabbi Yossi asked Rabbi Chia, "Why aren't you talking? We're supposed to talk and learning when we're walking on the derech. We're supposed to talk and learning." So Rabbi Chia, he moaned, and he started crying. And it says, "V'tehi Sarai akora ein lo voled." Sarah was an akora; she didn't have a vlad. Oy, alzeh, oy, on that time when Hagar gave birth to Yishmael. Rabbi Yosef said, "Why? What's the problem?" Afterwards, she gave a ben. So there's Yishmael, and there's Yitzchak. She had a Gzera Kodesh. She had Gezer Kodesh. She had a Kodesh Dika kid. Besides Yishmael, who wasn't Kodesh. But she had Yitzchak. Oh, Rabbi Chia said, you see, and I see, but this is what I heard from Rebbe Shimon, our holy Rebbe, Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai. I heard from him, and therefore I'm crying. Oy al oiso zman shebeglal shesora hisakva, because of the time when Sarah delayed in having a child. But time of Sarah, in Torah, she said to Avram, "Go be together with my shivcha." On this, therefore, Hagar had a time. Hagar ondol Shah, she had an opportunity, and to inherit Sarah, her Gavirta, she got a Yerusha. She got a Yerusha. She had a time to inherit, and she had a ben from Abraham. And this ben from Abraham has a schus. And then Abraham, what did he say? Lu Yishmael Yichi lefanecha. The fact that he said, this is the Zohar, the Orach Chaim HaKadosh got it from the Zohar. The fact that Abraham said, Lu Yishmael Yichi lefanecha, even though that Kadosh Baruch Hu was informing him he's going to have a Yitzchak, and he says, I'm satisfied with Yishmael. Oh, you are? Abraham was nidbak, he was attached to Yishmael. He had attachment, it was his kid. To the end of his life he had an attachment with Yishmael. Kadosh Baruch Hu answered him, Uli Yishmael Shmaticha, and I'm giving a bracha to Yishmael. And then, Yishmael, right afterwards, the very next day, or that day, this is the time when this is when he was getting the command of the bris milah. Yishmael got a bris milah. So Yishmael preceded by 13 years, 13 years. He was 86. He was 86, right? Yishmael was already 13 years old. But Avram Avinu was 86 when he did the bris. No, he was 90. No. He was 90. He was 90. He was 90. He did the bris milah. Yeah. So they didn't have a year. It was a year later. It was a year later they had Yitzchak. So he preceded Yitzchak by a year. But he got the bris milah first. So he was nichnas into Kedushas Yisrael, the bris milah, before Yitzchak. So what does that mean? So what happened? He had a schus in inheriting. He had a schus to inherit Avram Avinu's what Avram Avinu was supposed to inherit to his children. So Yishmael now had the schus. He had a bris milah. He was already a shtickle yid. The Orach Chaim declares the question whether or not he's an Eved or Pitzer. He gives a maskana, the Orach Chaim Agavorcha.
Rashi said it wasn't a full bris milah, no? It was only didn't have... Right.
First of all, the Orach Chaim wants to say that he declares the question whether or not Yishmael has the din of an Eved because he came from Hagar. And his maskana is yes. La'asad lavoi, when the Kodesh Baruch is going to be Megala, all the truth to the whole world, they're going to come to the realization that there are avodim. But that's a different part. But yes, Yishmael jumped up in the middle because he was 13. He says, okay, I'm going to go through with it. But they didn't have anesthesia in those days. So right after they did the chaticha, they cut, but they're supposed to do a priya, and he jumped up before they did the priya, and he didn't have a full bris, because the priya is the chelik of the bris. For 400 years, the Tsar, the one who's Mamuna, the one who's the Tsar of Yishmael in Shemayim, Bikesh Lifnei Kodesh Baruch Hu, he pleaded with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Mi Shanima, a person had a bris. Does he have a chelik in your name? He's Yishmael, he's got your name in him. And he had a bris. Doesn't he have a chelik in your name? So Kodesh Baruch Hu says yes. So he said Yishmael was Nemo. He had a bris. So why don't you give him a chelik just like Yitzchak has a chelik? He needs a Yerusha. So Kodesh Baruch Hu says, Yitzchak was mild properly. Yishmael was not mild properly. He didn't have a full bris. Not only that, but Klal Yisrael, we do the bris properly at 8 days. The Arabs do it much later, at the age 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They do the bris milah much later. They don't do it properly. It says in the pasuk, ben shmonis yomim. They don't follow that halacha. Therefore, they're far distant from me many days. They don't do the bris for many days. So they remain not gemalt for many days. But the Tsar said, but he was malt. He deserves something. So Kodesh Baruch Hu says, Rav Chia says, on that time when Yishmael was born and he got a bris milah. So what did Kodesh Baruch Hu do? he separated himself, he distanced himself from the Bnei Yishmael. He took Yishmael away from Devekas. They can't be attached properly to a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And he gave them the Yerusha in Eretz Yisrael. When it's in Eretz HaKadoshah. And they got a Yerusha, they took over Eretz Yisrael, which we know what happened. That in the year when the Arabs came out, when Muhammad around 600, they came over to Eretz Yisrael and they took it over. The Romans were in charge until then. They kicked the Romans out, and there was the end of the Roman Empire was frazzling. So they took it out, and the Arabs took it over. Asidim b'nei Yisrael lishloi be'eretz HaKadoshah. Now this is written by Shimon Bar Yochai. Shimon Bar Yochai was right after the Churban Abayis. So in the year 100, 200, whatever it is, the Churban Abayis was in 70. So Shimon Bar Yochai was a Talmud of Rabbi Akiva. So he was in the year 200, something like that, right? So and he's saying that Otzid, the Bnei Yishmael, are going to get a chelik of the Eretz HaKadoshah when Eretz HaKadoshah is empty from everything. It's empty from the shleimus. It was empty from any material produce, and when it's empty from ruchnius, there was no Beis HaMikdash. And they're going to be ma'akeh b'nei Yisrael from coming back. The Zohar says the ikuv is they're going to be ma'akev. Until when is it going to happen? So everybody said we have to defeat the Yishmaelim. We have to defeat all the Arabs. Huh? No, we can't defeat them. We have to wait ad sheyishtalem oisa schus b'nei Yishmael. When they blow it and they act like animals and butchers and barbarians, and they lose their schus. The schus of bris milah is nigmar, it's finished. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to come and kick them out and show them who's boss. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to, running out of time, there's going to be a great war. There's going to be a war between Edom, which is Western civilization, European civilization, and Yishmael, and they're going to fight each other over Eretz Yisrael, which we see happening. They're jockeying up, and sometimes the Europe will be on top, and sometimes Yishmael will be on top, until a nation from far away, we don't know who that nation from far away, a third nation, is going to come and wage war, and then Yishmael and Western civilization, the Europeans, are going to have to attack that third nation. And then when that happens, then a Kodesh Baruch Hu, right? The Kodesh Baruch Hu will come and he'll destroy Bnei Yishmael from Eretz Yisrael. He'll break the koiches of all these armies, right? And only the koich of Klal Yisrael will be left. Only Lasad Lova. So this is a promise from the Zohar. What's going to happen? And I'll just end off because I've no time left. At the end of this week's parsha, Chayesara, there's a very interesting pasuk. It talks about Yishmael. Ve'elu shnei chay Yishmael. Vayishkenu michavila ashur asher al panei Mitzrayim. Al panei kol echav yitnafel. In front of all his brothers, he will fall. Yishmael will fall. What does that mean? Al panei, that he's going to fall. So says the Balaturim, famous Balaturim. Right afterwards, we have Eila told us Yitzchak. This is a siman, La'asad Lavai. When Yishmael falls at Achris Hayomim, then Yitzmach ben David, whom he told us Yitzchak. So this is a siman. We're going to see soon the fall of Yishmael, and that's going to be a siman that the Mashiach ben David is going to come. B'mheira b'yameinu, we daven it should come very quickly and end us from all this torment.
Amen.